Well, 2020 matriculants are waiting eagerly for their results to be released on the 23rd of February, a little later than usual this year. The 2020 academic year was disrupted by the COVID-19 lockdown, and some pupils had to continue with their studies virtually. Well, education expert Peter Kriel says matriculants should begin reviewing their plans for the year to ensure they'll be able to continue on their chosen path, even if new and unforeseen circumstances arise. Let's chat with him a little bit more about his advice to those waiting for those results. Peter, very good morning to you. And I suppose, yes, a lot of these children, these pupils or young adults are in a bit of limbo at the moment. How should they navigate this very tricky time?
Yes, good morning, and good morning to the viewers. You're absolutely correct that the class of 2020, matric class of 2020, is under enormous stress and discomfort at the moment, which is not normal for matrics. Now, normally this time of the year, or just before results are released, my advice to young people would be to make sure that whether you've chosen the right discipline to study and the right institution. And this year there's a slight different slant on that, in that the lessons learned that we in 2020 was all about institutions geared up and being able to seamlessly deliver on your dreams whilst the unexpected may happen, like another lockdown. So my advice this year to young people is to reconsider and I'm not suggesting changing, but to consider the ability and the readiness of the institutions that they've chosen to seamlessly continue with the academic year, even in the event of, for example, another hard lockdown.
So should they, in this case, look at, instead of going to an institution where they would physically have to sit in classes, and we don't know what the status of that is yet, we don't know what's going to happen, following the release of these results and what tertiary institutions are preparing for. But should they maybe look at more online sort of methods of learning of tertiary education? Are we likely to see more of them flock that way?
You know what, my short answer to that question would definitely be no. There's a difference between contact education and distance or online education. It's a different market, and different students have different needs when it comes to that. So I definitely would not advise that all young people now suddenly look for online and distance. If you're the kind of student that prefers contact, that's what your dream was, that's what you focused on and applied for, my advice would be to continue with that. Don't change that, because that's who you are and what you strive towards, but rather figure out what will happen and ask those questions. What will happen in the event that I can't go to class? Is this institution ready to, as an alternative, maybe not my first choice, take my learning online? So no, I don't think you should change to online and distance, because it's different markets, different needs, fulfills different needs within the market, but rather the preparedness is what is important to you as a young person now.
Well, Peter, normally in a normal sort of ideal world, pre-pandemic, I suppose, so much anxiety, so much stress attached to the release of these results. How did I do? We know they had the roughest of years last year, these matriculants, writing under those circumstances, learning in those conditions as well. So should they, and some might not get the results that they expected as well, added to the normal stress, the burden of the year that they've had as well. How should they approach these results? How should they interpret them? Because ordinarily, we see lots of these pupils measuring their worth and their self-worth by these results.
Well, there are 2 points to that. So waiting for your results, the associated stress, and sometimes exceeding your expected outcome or sometimes not meeting it, is a reality with all matric result releases. Now, I don't want to talk to young people who exceeded their expectation because they're in a good position, but keep in mind that if you didn't do as well as you expected to do, that there are options available. Whether you repeat the subject, whether you enroll for a higher certificate or going directly into a degree. I really want to give the message to these young people that it's not all despair. There are ways of dealing with that. So sit down and let's consider, talk to people. Of articles on that, so any young person is welcome to contact me, and I'll give them those articles so they're guided. As far as the options to study are concerned, a lot of young people still wait for the results to be released because they're not sure what the outcome will be. And my advice to those young people is don't wait for your results. Follow your dream, go and apply, look for an institution that still has space, a registered and accredited institution, and then we deal with your results when they come out. Hopefully, they exceeded your expectations, but if they don't, there are ways of dealing with that as well.
So try and get in somewhere, you say. Thanks very much there, Peter
Absolutely.
Kriel. Advice to those waiting for those results.